So great to see you again. And I know we spoke at TCA in the winter on the first 4 episodes of Swagger season 2. So it's great to get to chat with you on the remaining mazes.
Yes.
So first, can you tell us about working with a larger cast and also a growing cast as we've been watching some of these characters grow up on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really great and really exciting about the storytelling is that, when I was first working with them, just even like as a director and as a showrunner, they were just, you know, 14, 15, 16 was our oldest. And and to now come back and be dealing with people that are like 18 and 19, you just feel that shift. But what it allows, here's the interesting thing though, Nikki, what's really interesting is like sometimes when people get older, they become more guarded. Like this cast, as they got older, they became more open and more vulnerable. And so it was really amazing on season 2 to just really just use their vulnerability as part of the storytelling. And it's been really exciting to work in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're touching on some really tough subjects, and we'll get into that. But how has it been working with such a young cast with such difficult subject matter?
I mean, I think that they are dealing with subject matter that is real, that is out there in the world, that's authentic. Also have a cast that likes to dig into research and to really, like on our show, we really are setting out to entertain, but we're also very clear that we have a cause bigger than ourselves. We do want to entertain, but we want to challenge perspectives. And so everybody sort of gets that's part of our mission. And so there's no trepidation at all from the cast. They're all in. And the other thing too, like even though they're young, Nikki, from their point of view, 18, 19, they're grown. you know? So it's just that's really the energy that they're bringing to it.
Yes. And the basketball scenes, they just keep getting better and better. I mean, they were great season 1. What were some highlights for you as far as directing? I mean, it's really unbelievable, these uncut scenes. What was that like?
Well, first of all, I was able to really bring like a nice, great dream team of directors on, I directed 3 and directly Matthew Cherry directed as well. Nigel Mean directed and Katina Medina directed. Um, and so there's like this real sort of vision with the basketball games, which is to make the audience feel like they're part of the action. It's also very important that it's authentic. So, for example, if you see Jace dunking or Nick dunking, it's not like we lowered the rim to 9 feet or 8 feet, like maybe like generally most shows would do. We keep it 10 feet. So you got to go up and get it, you know. Um, but also as I finally like released a lot of our behind the scenes footage stuff, this season, and so our camera operators on rollerblades, and other people have started to use that technique, which is all good. But it is something that we originated and feel really good about using in the way that we shoot, a basketball narrative. And probably the most exciting one for me from a basketball standpoint is that in our 5th hour of the show in season 2, we shot a basketball game all in one shot. So like there's not one edit, there's not one cut. And we don't have a cinematic reference for it. We've never seen anything like that before. And it was really exciting to feel like we're breaking new ground. And it's just really exhilarating to just do, and so what happens in that game, like things are scripted, you know,
Mhm.
and if you miss a basket, it may go down that way because we're not going to cut,
Yes.
and we did a few different takes of it. There's a version of it where the other team, or one team wins, that's unexpected, not the way that it went down. Um, but so yeah, it's just been really fun. That one in particular was just so visceral, so exciting to shoot, and really just felt like something we've never ever seen before.
Yeah, it's truly original. It's great to watch. I love seeing the behind the scenes that you had posted. That was really great to see. But as we know, Swagger is not just all about basketball and the love of the game, but the lives of these young characters. So one of the more emotional and important mazes is 205, Are We Free? And I just wanted to know, why did you choose to include this story with the youth correctional facility, and what was the writing process like for you on it?
I mean, I think like there's something that's always been percolating for me, which is like so when I was in my 20s, I went to a detention center, youth detention center in New York with a couple of friends, and we performed some plays I wrote, you know, and it was always haunting to me, like this feeling we had where we engaged with some of the people who were incarcerated and were leaving, and just always had this image like we're driving away, like on the highway, and you could still see like at the fence, like some of the people that we say goodbye to, and it always stayed with me. And so I had been thinking about it, and then one of the writers in my room, writers room, a woman named Raquel Baker, such a young, gifted artist, and she was incarcerated for a little while, and it was really interesting to talk to her about it, and just said like, let's just go into the detention center, like let's see what we could learn, and that's really where it began. And then in the research, we learned so many other things. One of the things that was just really startling, just like from a mental health aspect, is that the number one provider for people with mental illness in this country are jails and prisons and detention centers. And so that was just like real startling revelation, and just saw this as an opportunity to entertain and challenge perspectives.
Yes, absolutely. It was very powerful, especially with the player at the end of, right before the team leaves. What do you hope, viewers take away from this whole experience with this facility? And, do you hope that it changes the perspectives on their lives, or helping them to not judge others' mistakes?
All of that.
All of it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah, and I just think like just think and like um just like see the humanity in people. And in the narrative, we don't make excuses for anybody, what they did, what they didn't do. We don't even really tell you what they did, because that's not even the point. The point is like there's a underlying question that runs throughout the entire series, which is, how do we treat kids in this country slash in the world? And so that's always like a central question throughout the entire narrative. And so that's just a big part of it. Like, you know, I mean, shouldn't people that are incarcerated have an opportunity to further education and be challenged and become, um, the best versions of themselves? Or, is this mistake they made um, mean that for the rest of their lives they're never gonna, you know, um, see like opportunity or have opportunities to contribute in a meaningful way. So there's a lot of that, but ultimately at the end of the day, like we really just want you to see the humanity of all of our characters.
Mhm. And through Maze 5 and 6, well, actually through both seasons, but through 5 and 6, the team is being faced with these charges, which can really change their life drastically. What are you saying as far as community and diversity, with how the community shifts and pivots on their support? I mean, even in Hollywood today, we see, this abandonment of inclusivity and with our executives. So just that whole pivot of loving when you're playing the game, but then when real serious issues hit, how they're received.
Yeah, I mean, like someone who came in and was a consultant for us, just spoke to our writers' room. When he talked specifically, he's a basketball coach. And he talked specifically about players, particularly players in environments like this. And he said that there's like this 22 and 2 rule, and it actually comes up in our narrative,
Mhm.
which is just 2 hours of practice. But what about the other 22 hours that the person is going on, throughout the world, and to like not ignore that part of it. And so it even like, especially with these issues of diversity, um, it still goes back to what do people need to be allowed to be the best version of themselves. And it doesn't mean charity. It actually means like the opposite, because when you're putting up walls and putting and closing doors to people, you don't need charity. You need those walls and those doors open, and particularly in Hollywood, I mean, clearly there felt like a promising shift in 2020 when people wanted to take the country in a different place, to kind of right some of the wrongs, not that just always existed in the world, but even specifically that existed in our industry. And sister, you know something about that too, and I know that you've come across your stuff as well. It's real, but we got to hold the mirror up to society, not just like for shock value, but because these are conversations that still need to be had, and they impact our children. They impact us as adults. They impact our industry. And the thing about diversity, it's not a politically correct thing. It makes content better. It makes the industry better. It makes education better. Why should white kids not know about what really went down in this country? Why should they not read Toni Morrison? How does that, like, it makes everybody better. And so yeah, it was really great to be able to, have this platform to address it in our narrative. And again, Nikki, some people are going to watch the show and like just fall in love with the basketball and just fall in love with the characters. And some of that I recognize is not going to land for people, but for some people it will. And then we see what people do with it. But it would be inauthentic to ignore that part of the story.
Absolutely. Well said. And Crystal's character, so
Mhm.
important to season one and two, especially with the dynamics at play on seeing young Black girls and women and valuing their existence. And I love Jace's line where he is advocating for the systems in place of why we're even here in this room. Um, and which is still controversial to this day. So when writing this, what was at the forefront of Crystal's character for you?
Um, Really, wanted her to have a great arc, like a great beginning, middle, and end, and that, um, just like with any great character, they have a nice journey. But a part of her journey is to sort of like, her journey is like to find her way back to herself. So much a part of Crystal is like her empowerment. And I don't want to just like say power empowerment. It's just like a general thing. It's like she has to find her way back to herself, but also, and she stands up for herself in a real meaningful way. But what I also love about the narrative is we could have done it this way, but I love that she doesn't have to do it by herself. I love that there is community behind her, which again is just a big thing that we're always going to be promoting on this show is the not just the community, but the urgency of community. The urgency of community when quite often at times we're under attack. And so the urgency of joy, you know, the urgency of like the brotherhood that we see. So that was like a real, big part of what we wanted to do with Crystal, and and then obviously the aspect of community to kind of you know um, filter throughout the rest of our characters as well.
And there's so much acclaim online for Maze 206 with Jace and Crystal's relationship. And what do you hope their quote unquote love, inspires in young viewers to see this on screen?
Oh wow. I guess like to just like just the care and the listening and the not positioning to be in control of another human being. I feel like at the core of their relationship is friendship and genuine love and friendship, and I guess it just feels refreshing to present like young people of color in such a, I hope, a healthy way. you know they have conflict, and drama is good conflict, but they kind of reach a point where it feels like they've gotten past most of their challenges, and it's just just to see them there for each other. I think is meaningful, and I can't say that when we did it, it was like, okay, I hope somebody learned something from this, but I've always been amazed and pleased that people are getting, positive messages from it when we see people treat each other in positive ways.
Absolutely. And each maze is so rich and beautiful. It's just, from the music and the direction. What was it like working with Terrence Blanchard?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Terrence before, and it's just great because the way that I work with Terrence, like we're looking for the beginning, middle, and end in the music and in the story. And you mentioned 206, which is called Jason Crystal, and um, he just did like this violin thing. I think it started we hear it in 205. We hear it in Are We Free when they're first together, but there's like this violin thing that happens and grows and matures and is very, very intimate. And what's so great about it, I feel, is like when you're first watching it, you're not really conscious, like, hey, there's a violin thing going on, because it's so embedded and weaved into the emotion that it doesn't stand out. And then, but it's just really like lifts the emotion. And so it's just really great to be able to work with someone who's not um, just a great composer, but a great storyteller.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so, what can fans expect from what we have two more episodes left for this season, and also beyond season two? Where is Swagger going?
Um, well, let's see how I can say without giving a spoiler. I would say that they can really see um, an amazing sense of community and brotherhood. Um, and we will know by the end of the season what everyone's, for the most part, what their futures are going to hold in terms of college or D1 or not D1. We'll really have a sense of where everyone's going to end up when they graduate, and and as in terms of season three, there's nothing I can really say about it right now, and particularly going on with us writers right now. But I will say that in sort of finishing out what we started, I'm very, very happy that, we have a show that I think has the best shot at basketball on TV. And, my real role as a father, I got my kid screaming, "Bye, Dad. See you later."
Love it.
And um, and and I just love, like, I love the joy and vulnerability that they're going to bring in these last two mazes, and I hope people continue to feel it.
Reggie, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for giving us this time.
All right,
Take-
thank you very much. Good to see you again.
You too.